Welcome back to another episode of the RAG Report podcast, my daily bulletin show where I bring to you recruitment owners, advisors, suppliers, even investors to the global recruitment industry who are prepared to give up some of their time to share their experiences of what's going on in COVID-19 and their ideas on how we can all come through this better together. Today, I'm excited to be rejoined by Elliot Dell. Elliot is the CEO of Salt, a digital recruitment agency or working on a global scale. You may have listened to the episode I did with Elliot in the Hoxo HQ back before lockdown. I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it was I don't know if it was before or after Christmas. My mind's gone a bit blank, but we had a really good chat. Elliot's episode was one of the most listened to that we've ever recorded. His vision for where they were heading was so clear, crystal clear, and I've had loads of feedback on that. So I was excited to find out what's changed, how he's coping, and see if we can all pull some nuggets of information from Elliot. So before I do get into the show, I want to mention the sponsor today, Rise Recruitment Ventures. These guys are a recruitment investment business that are backing tomorrow's future high-growth recruitment businesses. So these guys built and sold in the past and are now backing individuals and pairs that are either in newly set up or early-stage recruitment agencies that want to scale and exit. So if you're thinking about growth, you're thinking you might need some capital or, more importantly, the expertise to help you scale and grow and exit one day, then you should get in touch with these guys. John and Alex are there to look at your business plan and take you through a process where they can be a partner in what you're trying to do. Get in touch with them via www.riserv.co.uk and they'll set up a call. Right, back to the show. Elliot, welcome to the show, and it's great to have you back on.
Thank you, Sean. Lovely to be here.
You look like a different man now, without the big, luscious, curly locks you brought to the Hoxo HQ, and they've all gone.
Yeah, I had my own transformation. Shaved all my hair off actually at the end of last year, so this isn't a COVID barnet. This is a December last year, grade 1, and this is now grown out in COVID.
Right, well, you just answered my question. It was 2019 we recorded. I've done that many episodes now, I forget when they were.
July last year we recorded.
Was it really? Bloody hell. It was nearly a year ago.
But I don't think you aired it till about October or so.
Maybe, yeah. To be fair, I remember you were in summer clothing, so yeah, you're right. So let's what's been going on, mate? First question, can you paint a picture for everyone about your life today? Like, paint the bit. What's going on for you right now?
So I guess there's very much two sides to my own personal lockdown experience, and I guess a lot of people's out there. To focus on the positives, it's an incredible experience for us to all spend more time with our families, to connect, to sit and have breakfast together, to have lunches together, to have dinners together. You know, it's incredible. It's a unique period in that respect. I'm sure there's many people that have hectic jobs, that do a lot of travel within their jobs, that are now slowing down a little bit, slowing down the pace of their lives, sitting down with their families and looking them in the eyes and, feeding their kids breakfast for the first time in years, that are going, wow, why haven't I done more of this? So I've absolutely embraced the positive side of what this is all about. And it kind of fits in with my own personal journey, which we touched upon at the end of the last interview. My own personal journey with sort of mindfulness and self-love, quitting alcohol back in 2015 and just going from what was a very hectic, fast-paced, always doing lifestyle to very much being more in the here and now and embracing what's around us, embracing the simplicity of life, embracing my own self-love and my love and connection with friends and family. So that side's been very positive. Then there's obviously the responsibility as CEO of a recruitment business where we're employing a number of staff around the world, a number of contractors, fulfilling customer needs as well as part of our vision of creating futures, and having to have some very tough conversations, having to make some very tough decisions, having to look at, cash flow, having to look at, what does payroll look like? Having to utilise the various government schemes and grants that have been available to us in the different locations, so we don't have to make mass redundancies and letting people go during these difficult times. So as much as there's the sort of positives to embrace from a home life point of view, there's also the reality of the economic situation to which we all find ourselves within.
So look, you've got me thinking in so many directions of what I want to ask you about and talk about, but Let's start with the business, and we can then, as we did last time, we'll move into more the personal side of things. So having a global business, I'm interested to know what you saw coming and how did you, because I interviewed a guy in Hong Kong a couple of weeks before lockdown. Sorry, I interviewed a guy in the UK who had a Hong Kong business, and it was the first real conversation I'd had on the show that was showing signs that, you know, this is a serious issue. I think it was early mid-February I recorded. I'd just come back from Dubai, and in Dubai was when it was the end of Jan, Chinese New Year. The noise around China in general, Wuhan, was really starting to, in Dubai, it was really like, everyone was talking about it. Whereas when I landed back in the UK, it was still not really big news. So when did you find out about what was going on, and how did you guys at Salt prepare, or did you prepare for it?
Yeah, so look, we've obviously got offices all across the world. So, you know, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand, Middle East, America, South Africa. So I was actually in Dubai mid-February, and I'd been speaking to our regional director out there prior to the trip, and he'd started to talk about offers being called because of COVID. Now, when you start hearing these things, it just feels like another sort of, you know, dog ate my homework type excuse.
Yeah.
Like the deals aren't coming through. But when I was out there, you know, I started to kind of hear and see the reality of it. I think in that the week I was in the office there alone, there was about 4 offers pulled. Mainly on the sales side of the business, where obviously people were concerned about mobility and travel and flying around because of some of the restrictions that were being imposed across in Asia. Because at that point, obviously China had gone into lockdown, but also Singapore, Hong Kong had gone into lockdown. I don't think at that point Kuala Lumpur were on lockdown. I think they were quite late to the party and actually had a big bout of viruses off the back of a large religious festival they have. And then I think it was post that they went onto lockdown. So yeah, I guess it was mid-February. So then I came back and, you know, started talking about, you know, this thing is happening in the Middle East. It started in Asia, you know, perhaps we're next. And then it was shortly after that obviously all the press started coming out with regards to what was going on in Italy. We kept the office open for as long as we could because of learning from what we'd seen in Asia. We'd seen the government enforce lockdowns in all of these countries anyway, so we didn't see a benefit of bringing forward, you know, an unofficial lockdown date, if you like, with regards to our office, if it was going to be imposed upon us anyway. So we literally closed the office on the Thursday, and then I think it was on the Friday that it was announced that the UK would be going into a lockdown situation. So yes, we definitely used knowledge from what was going on in other regions. We got our leaders over in Asia to give us kind of weekly updates on what was going on. They sent some very helpful emails around to the global business, just with regards to their experiences of lockdown, how it affected clients, how it affected their own personal situations, etc. And at that time, we were then experiencing the whole frenzy in the UK of, you know, supermarkets being ransacked and everyone running out of toilet paper and flour and eggs and pasta and all these other bizarre things that we decided to stock up on. So yeah, definitely took those global learnings, definitely then used those to educate. Sorry, I think we've got a helicopter going overhead. I don't know if that's
can't hear it.
Through to you. I live near the army bases here, so you often get the Chinooks flying over. But yeah, I was then able to relay the information over to our guys in South Africa, across to the guys in the US, and then very quickly after the UK going into lockdown, obviously, you know, the death toll really started hitting America. Yeah, I think out of all the regions, America was definitely the worst hit. I mean, we can see that from the stats that we see on the news every day. But yeah, we barely got near closing a deal throughout the whole of April in New York. So yeah, there were some touch and go times with regards to the outlook for the business there.
So thinking about your role, right, as the CEO of a 200-man business, what are you doing all day at that point, and how are you making every major decision? Are you empowering others to make this? How is it fitting in, say, March, April time when it's all just exploding around you?
Yeah, so look, myself and my chairman, Paul, we were speaking every day, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, liaising with our HR manager, our FD, our CFO. We were all in constant contact with regards to, you know, what does cash flow look like? What are the schemes out there that can support us with the business? You know, how can we ensure that we retain as many jobs and save as many futures as possible? So yeah, it was very frantic. I mean, you know, all that weekend after lockdown, you know, we were back and forth on messages and emails constantly, just with regards to how do we get through this? You know, what do we do to minimise risk throughout this? You know, trying to anticipate how long this would go on for. Personally, I was getting closer to some customers that I wouldn't necessarily be speaking with, just to find out what was going on with their situations. We immediately started looking at some restructure plans as well, in particular for the UK business, which is our largest office with 100 staff. There were some restructures that we were looking to do. We probably would have done them either H2 this year or definitely by the new budgets going into 2021. So it brought forward some plans for how we wanted to, you know, reshape the business, you know, swap some teams around, put some leaders into some bigger roles and offer other leaders some alternative roles in the business. So what it definitely allowed us to do, it gave us some space to look at some projects that we wouldn't normally have done in the chaos of business as usual.
I'm interrupting this episode to bring to your attention our second sponsor. That's Odro.
Odro is calling on the recruitment industry in absence of organised events to take part in what's called the Active Recruiter Challenge. The idea is that we'll all get together on the same day, Friday, the 10th of July, to run either a 10K or a half marathon. This is a combined effort from all recruiters to run from their homes and follow any route you want up and down the country. We're hoping that together we can raise money for a teenage cancer trust. And in order to do so, we want all runners to contribute £25 in sponsorship. Fitness and charity, what a combination. To get involved, sign up to the Active Recruiters Club on Strava, then join the 10K or the half marathon from there. Strava will then track our time so that we can use them and find out how we are competing with our friends and colleagues. There's also a runner's pack with numbers and wristbands, which will be sent out from Odro once you get involved. Finally, see Odro's Active Recruiters blog for full details. Everything will be shared in a link to this podcast. Did you utilize the furlough structure as well as others in the market have?
Yeah, we did. So out of the 100 staff in the UK, I think as soon as it came out, I think we put around 30 onto furlough initially. And then over the weeks, you know, we were, you know, judging people by their universities and their markets and what income traffic we had from jobs. Some universities, some people's desks went completely dead. Others remained buoyant. Other people were, you know, picking up jobs because if they were in, you know, e-commerce sectors or logistics or med tech or health tech. But obviously, you know, some people working, you know, with retailers or some people working on, you know, new and emerging projects with banks. We saw some of the disruptive projects within banks just go on hold. So yeah, it did mean some people's desks went completely quiet. So over the coming weeks after the initial bout of furlough, we probably put another 3 or 4 a week onto furlough after that to ensure that we could, you know, save those jobs as opposed to, you know, making those roles immediately redundant.
How have you managed the communication and the relationship with those people on furlough? I think that's one of the biggest topics of conversation I've had, not only online in the show, but offline with clients, and also just seeing the fucking noise on LinkedIn has been furlough this, furlough that. But how have you at Salt managed to, because the biggest risk is, you know, you don't keep these people happy the way you treat them, and then they don't want to come back. Or you can't keep them anyway because of the way the market goes. So it's unprecedented. I hate the word, but it's unprecedented. How have you managed to not let these people disappear, keep them as part of the business, but abide by the rules, I suppose?
Yeah, so again, that was a tricky one to navigate initially because, you know, furlough is an American term and it's something that's part of an American employment law. So, you know, the guys in America have been, you know, very familiar with the scheme for a number of years. And it's quite draconian with regards to if you're on furlough, you've basically exited the business. You get cut off from email, any systems access you get cut off from. So, you know, you are literally removed from the business. Whereas when it was launched in the UK, you know, there was different ways of looking at it from a financial point of view. How can you deal with the scheme with regards to topping people up or not topping them up? Yeah. There was then the whole HR side of things with regards to, you know, what employment rights do people have? And then there's the whole side of things as to, well, actually, can you stay in touch with your manager? Can you be asked to do work? Can you volunteer to do work? So not everything was clear. This is the first time it had obviously been launched in the UK. So we were getting advice, from our our finance experts, from our HR experts with regards to what we could do and what we couldn't do. And then obviously these messages were being interpreted in a number of different ways as well. People's friends were then being furloughed. Some people were under the impression that it was illegal to do any work or help out or to support. Other messages were that you could volunteer to do work, but you just couldn't be doing the work you would normally be doing within the job. So we've been encouraging people to do self-work, self-develop, stay active, try things that they haven't tried before, expand their mind, stay curious, stay creative, and just be as energetic as they possibly can, so as not to, go into too much of a hibernation on the furlough period. We haven't been asking people to do anything that they shouldn't do. We haven't been, telling people they have to work, but we have very much been encouraging people to stay active and stay vigilant and diligent towards their markets, because everyone sort of works an individual universe, and unless that person is in touch with that universe, how do we know whether that is an active market to then bring them back off of furlough? So, there has been a difference in behaviours, and I completely respect and understand that from a mental health point of view. This is a very challenging period, and some people won't have the strength right now to, get out of bed every day and have a spring in their step and go out and research into their markets and stay on top of LinkedIn to see what jobs are being advertised, etc. Other people have found that very easy, and we've had very proactive people saying, hey, customers emailed me 2 or 3 jobs. I've seen these jobs advertised in the market. I've been engaging with some of my colleagues, and I can see some opportunity at some customers. So we have, people have been, selling to us to come back off of furlough. And I've personally loved that. I've loved the tenacity that some of the guys have shown, and we've welcomed those guys back off of furlough. Other guys, didn't initially go onto furlough, and then about 5-6 weeks in, you could see they were banging their head up against a brick wall. And we've said to the guys, listen, we can see your market is tough. There isn't any incoming work there. It's okay to go onto furlough. We'll do everything we can to try and get you off furlough at some point. But it's been a real tricky one, because, people have been asking for sort of reassurance or guarantees, or when is the office opening? And, literally we are taking every week as it comes. I feel that, we've bottomed out as a company and as a market. I feel we've bottomed out, but I just feel we're tricking along the bottom. We're not going upwards in the trough yet. We're just still sitting in the bottom right now. And I haven't seen enough indications from a revenue uplift point of view, from a job flow point of view, from dealing with customers first-hand point of view. I haven't seen enough yet to say that we are on a rise out of the bottom.
So you think, okay, that's interesting, because I've been hearing a lot more positives around that, but again, it depends what people see as the indicators. I would imagine job flow is the key indicator, right? That people are looking for. In terms of the office situation, and you've got a nice HQ in Waterloo, and what's your plan around that now? Obviously, you just said you can't give any, but are you gonna? Do you see yourselves going back exactly as it was, or is there going to be a new way of working at Sol?
As humans, we adapt very quickly. I remember working summers abroad, which I think you did as well, didn't you? And, within 2 or 3 weeks of doing your holiday season, that was normal life. You couldn't ever imagine coming back to the UK and working in a supermarket and, spending all your money on a Friday night out. So we do adapt very quickly. And I think within 6 weeks of being in lockdown, this was the new way of life. 10 weeks in, it's like, oh my God, is there really something that's different to this? So I think we're all now talking. Everyone I'm talking to is like, yeah, the world has changed. I'm even using that phrase myself. We will all definitely go back to, a new way of working. It won't be the same. However, I can also see us all saying that now, and then we all go back. Everyone's back in the office September, October, and then by Christmas, everyone's back in 5 days a week. And it's like there never even was a lockdown, and, what does isolation even mean anymore? So it's tricky to tell. Some companies out there have made some bold statements. Twitter saying, to everyone, you never have to come back to work. Companies like Salesforce saying that, no one's going to be coming back to January. Spoke to some contacts at a large telco business, and they're not going to be going back till at least December. So companies, are really longing out when they see normality returning. realistically, I can't see us going back into the office in any way, shape or form in the UK till September. We're obviously getting, restaurants and hotels and clubs and pubs and stuff opening in July, which is great because we need to get the economy moving. Shops are opening up sort of mid-June as well. So this is all good. As recruiters, we can work anywhere. We don't need to be going in and out of London or Birmingham or whatever cities we're working in and out of. We can all work as long as we are, self-motivated and we're driven and we're doing our catch-up calls and our scrum meetings every day and our one-to-ones and we're following processes and, keeping an eye on our KPIs, etc. There's no reason why we can't all sit at home with a mobile and a laptop. That's how many recruitment entrepreneurs have set up their businesses. That's all you need, as you know yourself. So, I think the longer we can all not have to be scurrying back into the city to work again, I think that's better for the global situation that we're in. I can see some companies changing and adapting, but a lot of companies are going to be stuck into 5-year leases on big premises, so they're not going to be getting rid of those overnight. I think other more agile companies will definitely go back to a more flexible way of working. But again, we've seen that movement with the whole WeWork community over the last few years anyway. I know 20, 30 person recruitment companies that have very agile ways of working. I think it's a personal choice. Some people never wanted to go on lockdown. Some people didn't want to, be told that they couldn't go to the office, whereas other people were like, brilliant, get me out of there. I'm just as efficient from home.
No, I get it. I completely agree. I think there's going to be interested. There's that whole, you said we've adapted and you kind of can't even imagine getting on the tube. But then once it is okay, there might be a chance people are desperate to go and just be out of the house. They've been locked down for so long and, you just can't wait to get back into the office. But what's going to be interesting is how your business, if you do have, say, 50% of your employees say, Elliot, I'm pretty happy being here, mate. Like, I'll come in a day a week or 2 a day, but I've really got used to it and I'm productive and you can trust me because I'm showing you the results. But 50% don't want to do that. That's when it becomes a bit more interesting because culturally at the moment, you're either all in or you're all out, right?
Yeah.
We were all in, now we're all out. What the fuck goes on when people have that choice? That's the bit that I don't know. I'll give you my 10 pennies. Like at Hoxo, we had that already. We had a couple of people on remote working and the rest in the office. And I think the guys on remote would be the first to tell you that they feel more part of the culture now that everyone's on the level playing field because they'd come in 1 day a week before and it just didn't feel, it was almost like two teams. Whereas now everyone's remote. It feels like we're all together. So I don't know. I'm thinking I want to work that challenge out. How do you blend it up? How do you get the ratios right so that you don't lose culture? Or do you know what I mean? Have you had?
Yeah, look, totally. And look, I've been running international offices since 2014. So to be honest, for me, working on video is no different to working face to face. When we set up in Sydney, we opened the office in January 2014. I didn't even go out there until December 2014. And it didn't hinder the way that I was driving that office. It didn't hinder the relationship that I had with the people out there. So I've always been very used to being very active in video, running the Americas as an example. We opened it in Austin earlier this year, haven't been out to Austin yet. So I have to rely on being able to build trust and engagement with people via video. So there's definitely a certain type of person that is built for it and wants to do it. And then you need to think about the training and development side of things. If you're bringing junior people through, if you have that model, unless they can listen to senior people on the phone, speaking to customers, illustrating best practice, then how can that person possibly learn? When they need to nudge someone on desk, can you have a look at this email? Am I approaching the customer in the right way? Can you listen into my calls? All these things that someone needs. Those things aren't possible remote, unless I guess we're dialing in and we're watching the videos of people, dealing with these customers and making their calls. So there is a reliance on a certain type of people if you're bringing trainees through. However, many businesses, I feel, are actually going to start hiring that more independent person again. They are actually going to look more favourable to people in their 40s, in their 50s, which actually before they'd have gone, well, do you know what? We're a young culture, we're a young environment, and are they going to fit in with a bunch of 25 to 35-year-olds who play five-a-side football and go down down the pub on a Friday. Actually, a more experienced, mature person might actually fit my business model. Someone that I know isn't going to be messing around. They've got a mortgage, they've got kids, there's more pressures and reliances that they have around them in their lives. So it may flip the types of people that companies hire. And it's certainly something that we're looking at as a business as well, because the independent people within our workforce have really shown their independence and their ability to work really well. And they are very happy sitting at home, working from home. So yeah, if they want a new way of working and they don't want to return to the office, suddenly we don't have all those experienced independent people that can bring our junior people through. So what does that mean for those junior people? Does that mean a different setup? Does that mean more of an academy type setup where you have got someone looking after these people? So it might create a bit of a divide in terms of the types of people that you hire.
A message from our final sponsor, Vincere. Vincere, if you don't know, is the all-in-one CRM ATS platform for recruitment and staffing businesses globally. Now, I first heard about Vincere, it feels like a while, it was about a year or so ago. And this business came out of nowhere from speaking to recruitment agencies. And I've always asked them what CRM they use when dealing with them from a Hoxo perspective. The same players usually used to come up, but this word Vincere kept coming up, and I was like, okay, I've heard this 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It must be an interesting brand. And now I hear Vincere almost as much as any other brand out there. So I did my research, and what I love about Vincere is they're looking to partner and invest in the same types of organizations that Hoxo do, which is the future high growth recruitment business, what I call progressive owners. These guys are putting a product out there to level the playing field and help smaller businesses and those growing to edge over their competition. It's proven to be a disruptor in the space. More and more people are using this software globally. They recently broke into the G2 Crowd Momentum Grid as the market leader on stellar reviews from users. So the recruiters that are using Vincere are raving about it. They've got 5 global offices, headquartered in Vietnam. So if you've got an office anywhere in the world, they've got this follow the sun methodology. So the support is absolutely top notch. And also by sponsoring the RAG, they're giving a unique offer to our listeners. So if you're listening and you want to get involved, go to Vincere, that's vincere.io/RAG, where they're going to be offering you a unique exclusive deal because you listen to the RAG podcast. Get in touch today. What do you see as the future for Salt now? Has it changed at all? I remember you were on this global domination mission when we spoke last year. I can't believe it's nearly a year ago. That's just shocked me, but it's gone that fast. But what's the future look like for you now that you've had time to sit and reflect at home?
Yeah. So the first 6 weeks of lockdown was very much contingency planning. It was creating stability. Then we got on to the point of we've got the breathing space now to look at some restructures. Is the vision that we had still the right vision? What do we need to tweak? What can we tweak? And what actually can we add on to make this journey even more exciting? So just prior to the COVID situation, so since we last met, we've added on 2 offices to Salt. So I mentioned earlier we now have an office in Austin. So we opened in Austin at the end of January. And we also completed an acquisition of a business in Cape Town called Recruit Digital. So we completed that acquisition at the end of January, completed all the kind of rebrand and systems, transfer over, etc. over the last couple of months. So they're now fully branded Salt South Africa business. Fantastic business, set up by a guy called Alex Martin, British guy from Kent. Moved out to South Africa almost a decade ago, created an amazing little business down there. And when I came across them, they were just like a mini Salt. And I was like, we've got to do something together. So we're speaking together for a couple of years and eventually agreed a deal together. So, my own personal vision around, new areas, new territories, that hasn't slowed down. We're now in South Africa, but we want to expand that. We want to grow across Africa, look at West Africa. We are still looking at a couple of businesses in South America. We definitely want to Salt LATAM offering. So we're covering South America and North America. And we definitely want more focus on our European business as well. We do about 20-25% of our UK revenue, if you like, in Europe. But I definitely do want a presence in Europe. So, likely locations, Amsterdam, Berlin, Munich, definitely want a physical office on the ground. So my own personal vision, my own personal growth plans haven't been hindered or changed or slowed down with, in any respect. Obviously, we've got to have, some thoughts around when we actually activate some of these projects, given, number of staff on furlough. Obviously, revenues aren't where they were pre-COVID. So we do need to see those, solid signs of recovery, which is why I mentioned earlier, I think we've kind of bottomed out with regards to where we are at as a business, where we are as a market, but we're certainly not on a trajectory where we're going, bang, we're going to be 20% up next week, 20% up the week after. So, we're going to be sensible over the summer months, and hopefully come September, we can start activating some of these projects that we intended to do this year.
Well, you haven't lost your energy, Elliot. I tell you that. When you hit me last time, I was sat watching you going, wow, I could work for that guy, and you've kept me engaged again, which I love it. It's exactly the same mentality.
Yeah, look, there's no loss of energy, and there can't be, because in times like this, you need more energy than ever. And if you slow down, then all you're doing is encouraging the rest of your business to slow down. And look, we're in a very unique situation here right now. But I remember the financial crisis back in 2008, 2009. I had my biggest billing years in that period. I'd started focusing on business intelligence and e-commerce vendors, which were obviously in a growth period there. There will always be growth points of the market. There will always be access points where you can make money. And you've just got to keep your business agile enough and stable enough to make sure that you can navigate your business in the right way. And that's exactly what we're doing throughout this period. So, not doing a 3-hour commute every day is not 10 years off my life anyway. So I feel fresher. I feel just as hungry, if not hungrier. And, at Salt, we're ready to continue our global footprint growth in the marketplace.
Well, you just led me straight into where I wanted to go now. So one thing about you, obviously, I've followed your stuff on Instagram. We talked about you, but I'm really fascinated by how you've managed to keep that mindfulness and grow this business. And what's your day-to-day routine like now? So from when you wake up right through, like how do you get through your day?
My morning routine. Well, I'm probably enjoying another sort of 45 minutes in bed. It's what I would have normally done pre-COVID. So I was always I was up at 6 o'clock every single day, but I am snoozing a bit till 6:45, 7 o'clock. But look, I'm up. Breakfast, which is a bit slower than it would have been in normal times. I speak with our chairman every day at 8:30. So, we can get on top of, everything that we're doing, where are we at with projects, any updates, any changes, etc. Catch up with all of my management team in the UK at 10 o'clock. Catch up with my guys.
Every day catch up with the management team, yeah?
Yeah, every day at 10 o'clock. Every day at 10 o'clock, we have a video call between us, just to, again, update on where we're at, what we're doing, where we're going, any changes. Let's keep tight to each other. And also just to see the whites of each other's eyes every single day, to show that we're there for each other. Some of these guys are living at home on their own, haven't been seeing other faces and other people throughout this strange period. So, I think the more engagement that we've been able to encourage during this time has been absolutely vital. I'll catch up with the guys in the US every day. In and amongst that, keeping on top of customers, catching up with individual spot across the business as well. So 1 week I'll catch up with a couple of guys from Dubai. I've been doing some group calls with the offices as well. So I've done some Q&As with the guys over in the US, with the guys down in Cape Town, just who might not be getting so much visibility on what's going on from a sort of London HQ perspective. Answering any questions, giving advice. I've been doing some one-on-one coaching calls with some individuals in the business as well. Spot catching up with some of the guys on furlough as well. So just keeping really visible and transparent with everything that's going on. I did our quarterly launch in April, as I would have done face-to-face in the UK, but I did that on video call with 5 of the offices where the time zones were appropriate. Just giving it, thanking everyone for their support and understanding during the sort of lockdown period where we've had to make changes, furlough schemes, salary reductions in certain cases, etc. So just continuing to be really visible, not sort of shirking away from any questions or situations, sending email updates at least every week or at least every two weeks if there's been any economic changes or political changes or, changes with regards to furlough schemes, etc. Just constantly letting everyone know what's going on with the business and checking in that everyone's doing okay.
Are you getting any time out to exercise? Are you keeping yourself fit?
Yeah, very much so. So I've actually, I don't know if you remember, but obviously I ruptured my Achilles tendon last year. So
every time I see you, you've got a different injury.
Yeah, so I did that on June the 8th last year. So lockdown's been great because, you can eat 3 proper meals a day, and I've been training in the garden pretty much every day. So I've actually put back on my pre-Achilles tendon muscle, which has been great. So I'm feeling fit, feeling healthy. Gym routine's fantastic. It makes me wonder why I ever go into a sweaty gym when I can train so beautifully outdoors in the garden and in my garage. I've got a setup in there as well.
Yeah.
So, staying fit, staying healthy, staying strong.
You an evening trainer or lunchtime? What's your...
I've been mixing it up, to be fair. Yeah, sometimes I get out there with this blessed weather that we've had. I've been getting out, doing a bit of a lunchtime workout sometimes, and other times opting for the evening. I've
found that training has been like unbelievable. I'm fit. I feel better than I've ever felt in that way. But the amount, because video calls, you can have them back to back without like a minute's gap. Like, people could just keep booking you in when and I've only got a small team compared to you, but still it's like, Sean, can you do this? Sean, can you do that? Then I'm on a podcast, then I'm on this, and you can go 4 hours without a break. Like you've got to be more thoughtful around your time than you were in the office, because there's just natural breaks in the office. You go to a meeting, you factor in the travel time, and I don't know, I felt like there was so many more logical times to chat or grab a coffee, whereas now it's like 3-4 hours can just be sucked away. So the exercise, if people aren't doing that, I can't imagine. I imagine it will massively affect your mental health right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like you're saying, when you're in the office, there's natural breaks, whether it's walking to the coffee shop for a one-to-one, whether it's walking to the sandwich shop, walking to the gym, even the walk from the train station, or to the tube station to and from work, all these little natural breaks. At home, it takes you, 2 minutes to go to the kitchen, grab a sandwich or make your coffee and then come back again. You haven't had any time away from your laptop, from your screen, from your phone. So I think it's really important to kind of reinvent your timetable. So I've typically been doing sort of, from 8:30 till 12. Yeah, I'm solid. I'm back-to-back calls, video calls all the way. And then having a 2-hour break between 12 and 2. Get away from the screens, get outdoors, have a little wander around, bit of football in the garden with the boy, a little train, a slower lunch, whatever, just get away from it. And then 2 till 5 or 2 till 6, depending on the calls, just absolutely back to back again. But then again, having that hard finish, get away, because I'm finding I don't even want to go on to and check my Instagram or Facebook anymore. It's just like I've been on video all day. The last thing I want to go and do, even just for 10 or 15 minutes, I just don't want to go and do it. I'd normally do that on the train on the way home. Every morning I'd do half an hour on social in the morning, half an hour on social coming home as well, because it was easy. It was just on the train. It was filling in a gap. But now, as soon as I finish work in the evening, that's it. The phone's down, the laptop's down, and I'm not going back to it. And I've always been good at that anyway. I don't get sucked into the whole checking emails till 10 o'clock. But yeah, now more than ever, it's so important that you have a healthy timetable that's making sure that you're not just getting caught up in the world of digital and your face is becoming the mirror of the screen.
No, I completely agree. Elliot, well, last thing then. Last question would what have you learned most about yourself in this period? What's the one thing you've learned most about yourself?
That I am very happy and content with the simple lifestyle choices that I've made over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I'm very content, very happy, very motivated, very driven in the very simple sort of family life that I lead. I'm not a member of multiple clubs and societies, and I'm not always desperate to go and run on an adventure or go here, go there. I've naturally traveled around the world through opening up the offices everywhere. But, I'm no desire to run out there, run around like a madman doing different things. I'm very happy and comfortable in my own skin, with my own thoughts, with my own feelings, and love nurturing my family around me. So, yeah, I had made that lifestyle choice anyway. Lockdown has solidified that that's how I have to live anyway. And I'm very comfortable with it all. So, the greatest self-learning is the path I'm on is very much a path that I'm content with.
I love that. That's awesome. You'd be interested to know I've brought yoga into my life since we got into lockdown. I've done it.
Yeah.
Nearly every day. Pretty well for the last few weeks. I've been running loads as well, but I've got an injury in my back, which has stopped me from running. So yoga feels like the best thing I could be doing right now. I'm loving it. I'm feeling like it's. I always imagined it'd be. Well, no, I didn't think it'd be that difficult. I'll be honest. I always thought it can't be that hard. But it's absolutely killing me when I'm pushing myself. Like
it's definitely great for the aches and pains. When I've been through my peak periods of doing yoga 2-3 times a week, you just don't get those aches and pains and sores from the gym.
No. So it's that's my routine at 6 a.m. every day, yoga in the living room.
Good for you.
Well, look, Elliot, pleasure, mate, as always. And I'm really glad that, you guys are navigating through it. I know it's not easy times, but you're giving off that same message of confidence and future planning that I think will inspire others across the industry. I'm sure people will reach out to you if they want to. But look, let's see how things go, and we'll check in again in a few months. Hopefully, we're in a much better place.
Yeah, no worries, Sean. Pleasure. Good
Always.
to connect.
Guys, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, I don't ask for money to listen to The Rag. I just ask for one thing, and that's for you to share this. So if you could pass this on to a friend, a colleague, a boss, anyone you think can benefit from hearing from people like Elliot, then that would be amazing. You stay safe, guys. Keep pushing. The markets are up and down. Everyone's got a different opinion, but we're going to work our way out of this if we come together. So you stay safe, and I'll see you soon.